this is my presentation on identifying leaf stem arrangements with various types of plants, trees, whatnot. It's a very interesting topic if you're going into botany or biology of the plants. So this lesson entails how to identify your leaf arrangements on a basic stalk or stem. And every different flower, stalk, or stem will have some type of branches, flowers, or blossoms of their own. So the first thing that we want to do when identifying a leaf arrangement is looking at the amount of leaves, stems, or flowers that it might have. So right here on this stalk, we can see that it has one leaf and then two flowers with a little bit of foliage. So right there we have 3 growths off of our stalk. Next up, we want to observe the leaf position. So right here, there is no opposite plant to this leaf right here. There is nothing on this side. It is a single leaf. So right there, that's all that we need to know. And then next up, we want to count the leaves, the branches, or the flowers per node. And the node is the growth spot on the stem where the growth comes off of it. It can make its own, branch, bud, flower, whatnot. So right here, it is 1 leaf per 1 node. And then per 1 node, we have 2 flowers. So that's kind of how you identify it. So what is this and why is it important? So interestingly enough, the types of plant stems, how big the leaves are and whatnot, can help you determine how the plant grew up and what conditions it grew up. For say if it had a lot of sunlight, the nutrient intake of it, the water solubility, it can tell you a lot of things. So for example, if you have a plant with bigger leaves, that means it grew up in a spot with a less amount of sun. So the bigger the leaves are, the more photosynthesis it can make to help it grow, because photosynthesis makes glucose, which is its food. So this right here is our basic stem anatomy, and we can see it with our little fig plant right here. So the stem's purpose is to support the plant so that it can grow. It's to protect it from any outside salients like bugs, the weather, whatnot. And then we have some key vocabulary to go with it. So first off, we have node. And we kind of talked about this already. It's the part where the growth comes off of the stalk or the stem. So right here, this little spot would be the node. It's where the growth stems from. And then we have the inner node, which is the space on the stem or stalk that is barren and nothing grows. That's called the inner node. And then we have the rosette. So these are leaves that form around the base of the stem, and they form a rose shape, hence the name. So like right here is an example of a rosette. As you can see, it forms a rose shape. Perfect example. You see this a lot in succulents, and it is also one of our types. So these first 3 types of arrangements are the most common. We see these in almost every plant that we have. You can go outside in your backyard or right outside the classroom and you'll probably find one. First up, we have opposite. So this is when 2 leaves are arranged at equal levels on opposite sides of the stem. So we're going to pretend that this is opposite. You can see that there's 1 stem and then there are 2 leaves opposite from each other on either side of it. That is an opposite stem. Some examples of those are elderberries and butterfly bush. And then right here on our example, you can see they are just right across from each other. There is 1 node per 1 leaf. Next up, we have alternate, where there is another example of 1 leaf per 1 node, but they are arranged staggered on the sides of the stem. They are not opposite from each other. They're more like alternate. And this can be an example of that. See right here we have 1 leaf, and then we can pretend this is another leaf, and that's alternate for you. And some examples of those are black cherry trees and oak trees. And then our last common type of leaf arrangement is whorled. So this is when 3 or more leaves, buds, or branches come from the same node on the plant. So right here, there are 3 leaves coming from the same node on the plant. That is a whorled arrangement. And we see these in gas plants and horse chestnuts as our most primitive example. And these next 2 types are a little bit less common, but they still are in our everyday plant botany. Rosulate, where, like we said in our vocabulary, rosettes, where the leaves form at the base of the stem in a rose-like formation. So like we talked about with succulents, all the leaves form out from the stem. They have a higher water quantity because they are a thicker leaf and they need more protection. And we see this in aloe, chicks and hen, basically any succulent that you might get from the store you can see that in. And then our last type is a basal arrangement. So I'm sure this looks a little bit familiar to you. We see it in our own yards every spring, the dreaded dandelions. But this type is when the leaves emerge directly from the root system, so it's a little bit different. They don't come from the stem, they come from the root system directly out. And it's a little bit similar to the roselet, but it's not quite the same. And like we talked about, primitive example are dandelions, and then also lettuce. So we have a key question here. Does anyone know why plants go to therapy? Anyone? Anyone have any idea? Lauren, any idea?
No, I don't know. Why do plants go to therapy?
Plants go to therapy to get to the root of their problems. Isn't that interesting? So we have a little activity that we're going to do with some pipe cleaners. I'm going to give you 2 pipe cleaners, and you are going to make your own stem arrangement out of any of the 5 that we have. I'm going to give you a paper to go along with it. We're going to end up doing both of them, so you can do whichever one first. But here are some examples in case you get lost. But just like this one, this is my stem here. I made an opposite arrangement. I have 2 leaves on my 1 stem. So everyone's going to make one, and then we're going to share a little bit afterwards. So I'm going to start with the papers so you can take a look over. On the papers, we're going to have a matching. So we have a bonus in here too. If anyone gets the bonus, it's extra special. But we're just going to have you match the type of arrangement to the picture. Does anyone have any questions about the topic today? No?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Alright, and now for the pipe cleaners. Well, you can have 2 different colors just so your stem can look awesome. Anyone have any questions on the worksheet so far? I know it's a little bit tricky, but remember with the leaves, they are pretty much exactly what they say. So opposite leaves are going to be directly opposite. There's a bonus one too. We didn't talk about it. All right, how are our leaves and worksheets coming? What kinds of plants were you making? Kennedy, what kind of plant did you make? awesome. Anyone else make anything other than opposite? We're still working.
I made a rosette.
Lauren, that looks beautiful.
Yes.
That resembles a rose. I love that. Way to use our vocabulary. Everyone complete their worksheet, or are we still working on that? Okay, so we're gonna go over the answers of the worksheet, just because maybe you don't know and you wanna know. So the first type is actually whorled. So the leaves are all on one node and they are around the stem in a whorled kind of thing. The second one is the spiral. So we didn't talk about those, but they kind of dwindled down the stem. And then the third is alternate because they alternate along the stem line. The third one is opposite, or the fourth one is opposite, excuse me, because they are directly proportionate from each other alongside the stem. And the fifth one is, I bet you can tell, because it resembles a rose shape. And then the sixth one is the dreaded dandelion, which is basil. Ellie, what kind did you make there? Opposite? Awesome. Well, this is how to make, or how to identify your stem arrangements using leaves and what that means for us. Thank you.